This does not seem like any accident or self-defense. I see my daughter as being murdered and it being intentional, and something has to be done.
They said it was self-defense, a death investigation, not a homicide. But this video, this tiny piece of footage, tells a story that never made it into the police report. Tiana Dye had a 4.0 GPA. She was on the dean's list every single semester. One semester away from graduating with honors in biochemistry. One semester away from becoming a dermatologist and launching her own skincare line. But on July 14th, 2024, while she was cleaning her apartment, wearing rubber gloves and playing music her mother taught her to love, someone stabbed her in the chest. The Ring doorbell camera captured everything. The cleaning, the knife, the person who placed it there. Everything except the part that would have convicted her killer. Because 15 months later, no one has been arrested. Police refuse to call it a murder. And the person who did this? Still free. Still walking around Montgomery, Alabama like nothing happened. If the truth was sitting right there on camera, why did police pretend not to see it? By the end of this video, you're going to see exactly what that Ring camera recorded. You're going to understand why police are protecting a killer. And you're going to learn the one warning sign Tiana missed that could save your life. In the course of this video, I will show you the footage that proves that her roommate is responsible. So, make sure to watch to the end, because the warning signs I'm about to reveal might be happening in your friend group right now. And the people who ignore these signs, well, they're the ones who end up like Tiana. And what happened next after her roommate killed her is what no one could have predicted. Before we go further, I need to know something. Because Tiana had lived with and complained about the alleged suspect for months, and nothing was done. Have you ever lived with someone who made you feel unsafe, but you stayed because leaving felt too complicated? We have put together a book and a guide. Love Shouldn't Hurt, a survival guide to spotting red flags and escaping abuse before it turns deadly. Go ahead and grab it with the link in the description. Welcome to Mind Twist True Crime Stories, where all our stories are based on true crimes. Kindly support us by subscribing to this channel and turn on the notification bell icon. June 3rd, 2003. Riverdale, Georgia. Danielle Luckett held her newborn daughter and saw something that would define the next 21 years. Light. Pure light. Everyone who met Tiana said the same thing. She glowed. But growing up dark-skinned in America meant facing cruelty early. Kids don't filter their hate. They see something different and attack it. Tiana heard it all. The names, the jokes, the comments about her skin being too dark. Her mother fought back the only way she knew how. Every single day, she'd pull Tiana close and say, "Look at you. You're beautiful." It took years, but Tiana finally believed it, more than believed it. She decided to build her entire future around making sure no one else had to fight that battle alone. She had a personality that filled the room. Goofy, confident, kind. Online, she shared skincare tutorials, posted Get Ready With Me videos, and gave tips to anyone struggling with their skin.
Lifting up, and then we blow dry some more. I did add some melting spray. Mind y'all, we're in a whole nother lighting. My camera is faced directly in my face, so give me a break before y'all be coming about this melting and junk. But I pulled out my edges and they were thinner than that. I love me some baby hairs and I was going for the messy, soft baby hair look. I burnt myself right here. Burnt. And it hurt. But then I got to the other side and kept going because you can't stop. I'm too deep. Sprayed me with some Aussie hairspray and laid it down. Well, laid the back part of the wig down so make sure it didn't get in the way of my edges. Then we laid down again with the wig band for another hour. And here we go with the soft baby hairs. Did it on both sides. That's how it looks like on one side. Yes, definitely gave what I was going for. Didn't have faith in myself, but now I do. And then that's how I got the curls on the other side to do the other side of the baby hairs. Then we flat ironed, not no damn flat iron, that is a hot comb. And then we, defined our part in the middle. Listen, y'all, this week was giving me a hard time. hard time, but we came out on top, period. Soft baby hairs and everything, giving scalp, real cute. And y'all don't come from my room. I had got off of work and started doing my hair. I got off at 11 o'clock. So I don't want to hear nothing.
She had a great sense of fashion. Nothing fancy, just a young woman trying to turn her passion into a future. Dermatology wasn't about prestige for Tiana. It was personal. She wanted to create skincare products for people who looked like her. People who'd been told their skin was wrong. People who needed someone to say, "You're not the problem. The products are." At Alabama State University, she wasn't just surviving college, she was dominating it. Dean's List, every single semester, since 2021. Member of the NALACP chapter, National Society of Leadership and Success. Multiple honor societies. While carrying a full course load in biochemistry, she worked full-time at the Ulta counter inside Target. Not because she needed the money, though it helped, because she loved watching people's confidence change when they saw themselves differently. Her friends described something you can't fake. Tiana could walk into a room and sense who was struggling. She wouldn't ask questions, wouldn't force conversation. She'd just sit next to them, silent, present, there. Her mother called her a rainbow. When you see it, you're excited. You just love it. Professors from Riverdale High School reached out after she died. Each one said the same words. She was always a ray of sunshine. Teachers remember thousands of students. They forget most names within a year. They remembered Tiana 3 years after graduation. Spring 2025. That was the finish line. Graduate with her bachelor's in biochemistry. Apply to medical schools. Launch her skincare company. Change lives. But to get there, she needed housing near campus. Somewhere affordable. Somewhere close enough to walk to class. She found a rental on Clanton Avenue, less than half a mile from Alabama State, owned by one of her professors, shared with 3 other female students. On paper, it was perfect. In reality, she just signed a lease on her own crime scene. Here's what kills me about this. Tiana had options. She could have stayed in the dorms. She could have found a different place. She could have waited another semester. But she was 21, financially independent, ready to experience real adult life, ready to prove she could handle her own space. That decision cost her everything. 3 women moved into that house. Tiana herself, Caitlin, and the suspect Aaliyah. 3 students trying to make it through college. 3 young black women who should have been supporting each other. But support only works when everyone wants the same thing. And one of those roommates didn't want support. She wanted control. Her name doesn't matter yet. You'll learn it. But right now, what matters is understanding what she was capable of, what she'd already done, what everyone in that house knew about, but somehow convinced themselves wouldn't happen again. Because here's the thing about violence. It doesn't just appear one day fully formed. It builds. It escalates. It sends warnings. Tiana saw the warnings. She reported them. She begged for help. She used the exact words that should have triggered intervention. "I don't feel safe." And the people who could have saved her chose comfort over action. 3 weeks before Tiana died, one of the other roommates sent a text to their landlord, 6 words that should have ended with an eviction notice. "She's terrorizing us, please help." The landlord did nothing. 2 weeks later, Tiana was gone. Here's what I need from you right now. Think about where you live, who you live with. Have you ever felt unsafe in your own home, complained to your landlord and he did nothing, but stayed anyway because moving felt too complicated? Because confronting the problem felt too awkward? Because you convinced yourself it wasn't that bad yet? Drop a comment. Just 2 words, "I stayed" or "I left." No judgment, no explanation needed, just tell me your truth. Because what you're about to hear next might determine how you answer that question. If you think a landlord who receives multiple reports of threats and violence from his tenants and does nothing should be held legally responsible when their tenant gets killed, you're not alone. But people who think landlords have no duty to protect the people living in their properties, those people enable what happened to Tiana. Hit that subscribe button right now, because I know you aren't one of them, and because what came next reveals exactly what that landlord ignored, and why his silence has blood on it.
And the young lady, the assailant, she hadn't been paying rent for months, but was still there in lieu of the incidents that were taking place. And the other young lady's constant, contact to him stating, listen, what are you going to do about this?
400 block of Clanton Avenue, Montgomery, Alabama. From the outside, nothing looked wrong. Just another rental property near a college campus. 4 students, shared rent, close to classes. But inside that house, something was breaking. Not slowly, not subtly, violently, and everyone knew it. At first, things in the house felt normal. Everyone kept to themselves. But soon, small issues started to pile up. Arguments about cleaning, missing items, and the constant feeling that the place was slipping out of control. Tina spoke up often. The mess was overwhelming, and she was tired of losing her things. But every time she tried to bring it up, it turned into a fight, especially with Aaliyah. One of those arguments went too far. She hit her with a gun. Her lip split open and swelled immediately. After that, Caitlin, the other roommate, and Tina contacted their landlord again and again, asking him to step in. They told him it was getting dangerous. He never did anything. They tried to keep the house livable, but it felt pointless. Aaliyah left dirty dishes piled in the sink, sticky counters, spilled water, and trash left for days. It wasn't just messy, it felt hostile. When her messages turned threatening, they called the landlord one more time. That's when he told Caitlin that Aaliyah hadn't been paying rent and would be out by the end of June. For a moment, they finally felt some relief. They thought the worst was behind us. According to Danielle Luckett, here's what happened before July 14th. The roommate hit Tiana in the face with a gun. Not during a fight, not in self-defense, just hit her. With a loaded firearm, in their shared home. Think about what that means. Someone you live with, someone who knows your schedule, who knows when you're asleep, who has access to your bedroom door. That person physically assaults you with a deadly weapon. What would you do? Most people say they'd call the cops, move out immediately, press charges, get a restraining order. But that's easy to say when you're not the one trapped in the situation. Tiana reported it to the landlord, to the property owner who was also her professor, someone she trusted, someone with authority, someone who should have acted immediately. She told them, "This person assaulted me with a gun. I don't feel safe. She needs to leave." You know what happened next? Nothing. The roommate stayed, not for a day while they figured out logistics, not for a week while they found replacement housing. She stayed in that house with Tiana after putting a gun to her face. Still, Tiana stayed because moving again meant starting over. New rent, new hassle, new risk. And she was too focused on finishing her degree to deal with drama. The landlord made a calculation. Evicting someone is complicated. Paperwork, potential lawsuits, finding a new tenant, losing rent. Easier to tell Tiana to work it out. Easier to hope the problem would solve itself. It didn't solve itself. It got worse. 1 week before Tiana died, 7 days, another roommate and her boyfriend witnessed something that should have ended with police involvement and an emergency eviction. They saw this person walking around the house, holding a knife, not cooking, not opening boxes, just walking, pacing, knife in hand. They described her behavior to authorities later. Acting hostile, speaking in ways that felt threatening, wouldn't respond when we talked to her, just stared. This wasn't someone having a bad day. This was someone sending a message. The roommates did what you're supposed to do. They documented it. They sent text messages to the landlord. They created a group chat. "We don't feel safe with her here. She's threatening us. She's making our home hostile. You need to do something." The landlord did nothing, again. So now you've got a landlord who's been told, first, this person assaulted someone with a gun. Second, this person is now walking around with a knife, acting aggressive toward multiple residents. And their response was, "Just try to get along until you find somewhere else to live." Let me translate that. Your safety is less important than my rental income. Figure it out yourselves. Here's the part that makes this whole situation feel calculated. These weren't adults with savings and backup plans. They were college students, living paycheck to paycheck, locked into lease agreements, finals approaching, jobs to maintain, classes to attend. You know how much it costs to break a lease and move on short notice? First month, last month, security deposit, moving truck, time off work. Thousands of dollars these students didn't have, so they stayed, and they waited. And they hoped the dangerous person living with them would calm down. That's not naivety. That's economic hostage-taking. The landlord knew they couldn't afford to leave, knew they were trapped, knew they'd probably just endure it rather than face financial ruin. And that calculation killed Tiana, because the roommate knew it too. She knew no one was coming to remove her. She knew the landlord wouldn't act. She knew Tiana had nowhere to go. She had complete power. And when someone with violent tendencies realizes they're untouchable, they escalate. July 7th, 1 week until Tiana dies, the knife incident happens. Roommates report it, nothing changes. July 10th, 4 days until Tiana dies. Text messages fly back and forth. Has anyone heard back from the landlord? Silence. July 13th, 1 day until Tiana dies. Saturday night. Tiana probably trying to focus on school, trying to convince herself things will be okay. Trying to make it just a few more weeks until she can move. July 14th, Sunday morning. Tiana wakes up in a house with someone who has already shown her exactly who they are. Someone who assaulted her with a gun and faced zero consequences. Someone who threatened multiple people with a knife and faced zero consequences. Someone who learned that violence works, that intimidation works, that no one will stop them. And Tiana has less than 2 hours left to live.
She did say the girl would act funny to her. There was an instance where, like I said, my daughter has a boyfriend, where he was over with my daughter, and the young lady came out of the bathroom and dropped the towel. She was stealing from them. You're in a house, there's shared space. You have your own things. You're responsible for your own well-being. And she was stealing their food. My daughter did makeup and skincare. She had products that she spent her hard-earned money on, and the girl was taking her.
I need you to answer this honestly. If someone told you their roommate hit them with a gun and you were the landlord, would you let that person stay in the house? Comment evict immediately or let them stay and explain your reasoning. Because I'm trying to understand what kind of person hears I was assaulted with a deadly weapon and responds with, just avoid them until you move out. Help me understand that mindset. Because maybe there's something I'm missing, or maybe some people just value money over human life. Tell me which one it is. If you think this landlord is just as responsible for Tiana's death as the person who killed her, hit that share button right now. Send this video to someone who rents property. Send it to someone who has a landlord. Send it to someone who thinks reporting danger actually matters. Because what happens next shows you exactly what happened when all those warnings were ignored, and it's going to make you furious. July 14th, 2024. Sunday morning in Montgomery, Alabama. Tiana Dye woke up around 10 a.m. The house was quiet. 2 of her roommates were gone for the weekend. Just her and one other person in the house. That person would kill her within the hour. But Tiana didn't know that yet, so she did what she always did on Sunday mornings. That morning, Tiana was cleaning again. Exhausted from picking up after everyone. She sent a message to their group chat. I just cleaned off the kitchen sink counter and wiped it down. There should be no reason whatsoever that it ends up like that again. Whoever dishes is in the sink is still in there. There are gnats starting to pop up again, and nobody has time for that. If you put something down the drain, turn the drain on, and the brown cutting board cabinet needs to be cleaned off properly. There are bags coming from there with all the open food, which also creates mold. It shouldn't even be like that. Again, the person responsible for this uncleanness was in the house at the time Tiana sent this message to the group chat. She read it, and it would lead to what happened next, another confrontation, but this time it's deadly. So after sending the message to the group chat, she put on her cleaning gloves, the yellow rubber ones, turned on her music, the way her mother taught her, make the chores fun, dance while you work, turn cleaning into celebration. That's who Tiana was. Someone who could turn mundane tasks into moments of joy. She had no idea she was living her final hour. The Ring doorbell camera on that porch captured everything. 10:38 a.m. Tiana walks outside in her home clothes and cleaning gloves. She's carrying a trash bag. Casual, relaxed, normal. She tosses it in the bin, walks back inside, music still playing in the background. 10:41 a.m. Tiana comes out again. another trash bag. She's moving at her own pace. No panic, no fear, no awareness that anything is wrong. According to her mother, who watched this footage until she had every frame memorized, Tiana made multiple trips in and out, cleaning, emptying trash, living what should have been an ordinary Sunday. She looked peaceful. That's what haunts Danielle Luckett the most. Watching her daughter's last moments and seeing someone who had no idea death was coming. No chance to run. No chance to call for help. No chance to say goodbye. Somewhere between Tiana's last appearance on camera and 10:43 a.m., something happened inside that house. The Ring camera doesn't show what happened inside. It can't. It only captures the porch. But we know the result. Tiana ended up with a wound to her chest. Fatal. Bleeding. Dying. 10:43 a.m. Montgomery Police Department receives a 911 call. Someone has been hurt at the 400 block of Cleanin Avenue. First responders arrive within minutes. They find Tiana on the floor. The damage is severe. They work fast. Load her into the ambulance. Rush her to the hospital. Meanwhile, 200 miles away in Georgia, Danielle Luckett is at work. It's just another Sunday. Until her phone rings. Your daughter has been hurt. She's being taken to the hospital. You need to get here. Luckett doesn't even know the details yet. Just that Tiana is hurt. Just that it's serious enough for a call. She grabs her keys, starts driving toward Montgomery, heart racing, mind spinning through possibilities, praying it's not as bad as it sounds. Her phone rings again. She pulls over. They did everything they could, the hospital staff tells her. But they couldn't save her. Tiana Dye, 21 years old, Dean's List student, future dermatologist, daughter, sister, friend, dead. Not in a car accident. Not from an illness. Not from anything random or unavoidable. Killed. In her own home, by someone she lived with. Danielle Luckett never got to say goodbye, never got to hold her daughter one last time, never got to tell her she was loved. She got 2 phone calls. The first gave her hope, the second destroyed her world. It was the worst day of my life, Luckett would say later. And it still is. Think about that. Every single day since July 14th, 2024 has been the worst day of her life, because every day Tiana is still gone, and every day the person who killed her is still free. Now here's where the Ring camera captures something that changes everything. After Tiana is hurt, after she's dying inside that house, the camera records what happens next. The roommate walks outside, phone in her hand, and she's carrying something else, a knife. She places it on the porch, deliberately, right in front of the camera. Then, she keeps talking on the phone while walking away. Whoever is on the other end of that call heard everything, knows everything, and has never come forward. Danielle Luckett watched this footage and immediately understood what she was seeing. I have footage of her putting the knife on the porch and talking on the phone to somebody, Luckett told reporters. That's not someone in shock. That's not someone panicking after defending themselves. That's someone staging a scene. Think about the sequence. Tiana gets hurt inside. The roommate doesn't immediately call 911. Instead, she calls someone else, has a conversation, then walks outside and places the weapon where the camera can see it. Why? If you just defended yourself against an attack, you call 911 immediately. You scream for help. You try to save the person's life, even if they just tried to hurt you. You don't walk outside. You don't place the weapon in a specific location. You don't have a calm phone conversation with a mystery person. Unless you're not calling for help, you're calling for instructions. The roommate eventually got the neighbors to call 911. Not her. The neighbors. Danielle Luckett found this out later when she did what police refused to do. She went door to door, asked questions, got statements. Neighbors told her they saw the roommate come to their homes, but not during the time frame that would make sense if she was trying to get help for Tiana. She was acting strange, they said. Came over to our houses. But the timing doesn't match up with when the attack happened. So what was she doing? What was she saying to them? More importantly, who was she talking to on that phone? What did they tell her? Did they help her create the self-defense story? We don't know. Because that person never came forward, and police never forced them to. When police arrived, the suspect was questioned but quickly released. The reason? The claim of self-defense. Despite the evidence of a fatal wound, the documented history of prior violence, and the suspect's alleged manipulation of the crime scene, the police accepted that explanation. They let the suspect walk free, allowing the file to enter a state of legal paralysis. By the time paramedics arrived, Tiana had been bleeding for who knows how long. Minutes matter, seconds matter. How much time was wasted while the roommate staged the scene and coordinated her story? Let me ask you something. If you just defended yourself and someone is dying in your house, would you A, immediately call 911 and try to save their life? Or B, call a friend first, have a conversation, walk outside with the weapon, place it where cameras can see it, and then get neighbors to call for help? Comment A or B and tell me what scenario makes sense to you. Because one of those is self-defense, and the other is murder with a cover-up. Police saw the same footage you're hearing about, and somehow they chose to believe the person who did option B. There's someone out there who knows exactly what happened in that house. They were on the phone when it happened. They heard everything. They might have even told the roommate what to do next. And they've stayed silent for 15 months. If you think that person is just as guilty as the killer, hit that like button right now. Let's get this video in front of enough people that maybe, just maybe, that mystery caller's conscience starts eating at them. Because nobody predicted what happened next, as it reveals what police did when they arrived, and why their first instinct was to protect the killer instead of investigating the crime.
Tiana's mother is begging Montgomery Police and the district attorney to investigate deeper into her daughter's death because despite there being no arrest yet, she believes she knows exactly who did it. Danielle Luckett's daughter, Tiana Dye, was her middle child, her heart. Over the weekend, Luckett's heart stopped.
They told me that my daughter came in with a stab wound and that they did everything they could, but they couldn't save her.
Luckett says Tiana was stabbed in the chest, and for the past 3 days, she hasn't been able to get the image out of her head.
I see her laying there, just trying to probably fight for her life. My heart breaks because I couldn't help her.
Luckett was home in Georgia, while Tiana was in Montgomery attending Alabama State University. She was studying this summer to be a dermatologist and would have been a senior this fall. Luckett says her daughter lived off campus on Clinton Avenue, less than half a mile from ASU. Montgomery Police tell me Tiana was found dead Sunday morning, but the circumstances remain under investigation.
We are taking the next steps trying to find information. The roommates are offering the information. The DA's office needs to get on their job.
Luckett says she knows in her heart who did it and has the Ring camera video to prove it. We've chosen not to show the accusee because right now they are not considered a suspect. But here you see police going in and out of the home after the stabbing.
There's footage of her putting the knife on the porch.
A spokesperson for ASU released this statement in part, quote, "We offer the university's condolences and prayers to the family and friends of the deceased." But Luckett says she hasn't heard from police. She's hoping that'll change so she can make arrangements in peace.
I'm going to be on them like white on rice. You are going to get justice for my daughter.
July 17th, 2024. 3 days after Tiana died, Montgomery Police Department issues a statement. They're presenting evidence to a grand jury. The grand jury will determine if the roommate acted in self-defense or should face charges. Self-defense. A 21-year-old woman is dead in her own home. The Ring camera shows the person who lived with her placing a knife on the porch after the fact. That person had previously assaulted Tiana with a gun, and the police department's opening position is, maybe she was defending herself. But it gets worse. Montgomery Police classified this as a death investigation. Not a homicide, not a murder. A death investigation. Major Saba Coleman, the department spokesperson, made it clear, we are not considering the case as a homicide. Let me repeat that. They refuse to call this a homicide, even though someone died. Even though there's video evidence, even though there's a history of violence, even though the person responsible is clearly identifiable, not a homicide. No suspect has been officially named. Not in July 2024, not in August, not ever. The roommate who was in the house, never arrested, never charged, never even publicly identified by police. She walked out of that house free, and has stayed free for 15 months. Danielle Luckett did what the police refused to do. She became the investigator. She reviewed every second of ring footage. She interviewed the other roommates. She went to every neighbor on that street asking if they saw anything. And they did. They saw the roommate acting hostile, walking to their homes at times that didn't match her story about trying to get help. Luckett compiled everything: the ring footage, the neighbor statements, the text messages from roommates saying they felt threatened, the reports about the gun assault, all of it. She burned it onto flash drives, made copies, sent them to Montgomery Police Department, the district attorney's office, the mayor, state agencies, anyone with authority. She wrote letters explaining what happened, begging for action, demanding justice. No one responded. No new details to release, they kept telling her when she called, like reading from a script. August 2024, 1 month after Tiana died. That's the last time Montgomery Police communicated with the family. 1 month, then silence. Luckett kept calling, weekly, then daily. We don't have any updates, the investigation is ongoing, we'll let you know when there's progress. But there was no investigation. There was no progress. There was just a mother being told to wait while her daughter's killer lived freely. Months passed, 6 months, 9 months, a year. Still nothing. And then, on the 1-year anniversary of Tiana's death, the truth came out. July 2025, a reporter asks the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office about the status of Tiana's case. Their response? We never received the case file from police. 1 year, 12 months, 365 days, and Montgomery Police never sent the case to prosecutors.
Teresa, when you reached out to Montgomery Police, did they have any other information to share with you today?
Well, a little, Jennifer. They're sticking to their original statement, but added that this case will be presented to a grand jury.
The grand jury they promised Tiana's family in July 2024 never convened because the case was never transmitted. They lied. For an entire year, they lied. Montgomery County grand juries meet every single month. 12 opportunities to present Tiana's case. 12 chances to seek justice. They used none of them. The case just sat on someone's desk, in someone's file cabinet, collecting dust while Tiana's killer walked free. This wasn't incompetence. Incompetence is forgetting to follow up once or twice. This was intentional burial. Someone in that department decided Tiana's death wasn't worth prosecuting. Someone decided the ring footage showing the killer staging the scene wasn't compelling enough. Someone decided a dead honor student mattered less than avoiding a difficult case. And here's what makes it even more disgusting. 2024 was Montgomery's most violent year in recent history. Crime surged 320% compared to 2023. Homicides jumped from 9 to 36. The city was drowning in violence, and they chose to ignore a case where they had video evidence, witness statements, and a clear suspect. Why? Here's what I think happened. Someone in that police department looked at the ring footage and saw what we all see. Evidence of a staged scene, evidence of a cover-up, evidence of guilt. But they also saw a problem. The footage doesn't show what happened inside the house. It shows before and after, not during, which means a defense attorney could argue, you don't know who started the fight. You don't know what Tiana did before the camera caught my client outside. You don't know if she felt threatened. It's garbage reasoning. But it creates reasonable doubt, and Montgomery Police don't prosecute cases with any level of difficulty. They take the easy wins, the confessions, the cases with 10 witnesses and DNA evidence, anything that requires work, anything that requires building a strong prosecution. They bury it. They decided Tiana's life wasn't worth the effort, so they classified it as a death investigation instead of a homicide. Promised a grand jury they never intended to convene, and let a killer walk free rather than do their jobs. That's not a justice system. That's a disposal system. And Tiana got disposed of. Tiana's other roommate, Caitlin, had to go on her social media page to share her truth. She wrote, "With the permission of Tiana Dye's mom, I would like to tell you part of Tiana Dye's story. This never should have happened. Our landlord, Mr. Irvin, knew our roommate was unsafe to live with, and she should have been removed way before Tiana's death. I never would imagine I would be having to make this post. Tiana Dye was such a beautiful and kind young woman. I am glad to have called her my friend. I was blessed to have her in my life. This is not the end, only the beginning. We will get you justice, Tiana. Justice for Tiana Dye. Share and repost so we can get her story out there. I want you to be brutally honest with me. Do you think Montgomery Police actually intended to seek justice for Tiana? Or do you think they classified this as not a homicide from day one so they could justify doing nothing? Comment they tried or they buried it and explain why you think what you think. Because from where I'm standing, you don't promise a grand jury presentation for a year and then claim you forgot to send the case file. That's not an accident. That's a choice. If you think police departments that refuse to investigate murders because the case seems complicated should face federal oversight, drop a comment that says, "Federal investigation now." And if you believe the officers who buried Tiana's case should be named publicly and held accountable for obstruction of justice, hit that share button. Send this to someone who thinks police always do their jobs. Send it to someone who says, just trust the system. Send it to someone who needs to see what happens when Black women are killed and police decide their lives don't matter enough to fight for. Because the next chapter of this story reveals what Danielle Luckett did when she realized the system had abandoned her daughter and why Montgomery Police should be terrified of what's coming next.
The morning that this took place, my daughter reached out to him and said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to do another deep clean of the home. Can you just ask her to pick up her things? I don't need her to clean nothing. If she could just pick up her stuff, I'm cleaning." And in the group chat, all the young ladies knew she was deep cleaning the house. In the Ring camera, you see her in almost like workout attire, the workout top and pants, and there's music playing. You can hear it. Something she's seen me do all her life. Turn on the music and clean, right? And so my thing is, when was it that she got so agitated to attack you to where this was self-defense? They arrested her at the scene, but let her go because she claimed self-defense and there was no one else around. The other two roommates had gone on their vacation. And so my thing is, you didn't investigate. No neighbors were spoken to or anything like that. My family and I when we went to gather her things, we went to the neighbors and talked to them. You know, they noticed the young lady acting strange. We got footage from the neighbors directly across the street that they shared with us, where we can see the young lady walking over there to their home, but not in the time frame in which she claims she tried to help my daughter. She's talking on the phone. I don't understand why you had to go to the neighbors to get them to call the ambulance. If it was self-defense, you have a phone. Why didn't you call 911? So they never asked for anybody's information. We got that information. We asked questions to the neighbors. We asked the other housemates to send us the footage from the Ring camera. The police didn't ask for anything. And from my understanding, those two young ladies both received eviction notices. So now they are in the process of trying to find a place to stay to continue school.
August 2nd, 2024. St. Smyrna Baptist Church in Noonan, Georgia. Hundreds came to say goodbye to Tiana. Family from Riverdale, friends from Alabama State, coworkers from Target who remembered her smile at the makeup counter, professors who still had her Dean's List achievements in their records. They shared stories about the girl who glowed, the chocolate princess who turned insecurity into purpose, the student who sat beside people having bad days without saying a word. They released balloons, they cried. And then Danielle Luckett stood up and made a promise that should have terrified Montgomery Police Department. Inaction is not acceptable. Ignoring the death of a 21-year-old Black woman will never be okay. Not under my watch. Not with this community standing beside me. We are not going away. We are not giving up. This wasn't grief talking. This was a mother declaring war. Most mothers bury their daughters and trust the system to deliver justice. Danielle Luckett buried her daughter and realized the system was the enemy. So she became the detective Montgomery Police refused to be. She went back to Clanton Avenue, knocked on every door, asked every neighbor what they saw that morning, and they talked. They told her things that should have been in a police report. We saw the roommate that day. She came to our homes, but the timing was off. She wasn't frantically asking for help. She was calm, talking. The timeline doesn't match what she claims. Luckett documented everything: times, descriptions, contact information, built a witness list that police never bothered creating. She went back to the other roommates, got their statements, retrieved their text messages to the landlord begging for help weeks before Tiana died. We don't feel safe. She hit Tiana with a gun. She walks around with knives. Please do something. All of it documented, all of it ignored. Luckett reviewed the ring footage frame by frame, memorized every movement, every timestamp, every detail that proved this wasn't self-defense. She built the case, evidence, witnesses, timeline, motive, everything prosecutors need handed to them on a silver platter. Then she packaged it, burned it onto flash drives, made multiple copies, and she sent it everywhere. Montgomery Police Department. Flash drive and letter sent, no response. Montgomery County District Attorney. Flash drive and letter sent, no response. Mayor's Office. Flash drive and letter sent, no response. Alabama State Attorney General. Flash drive and letter sent, no response. She sent evidence to at least 4 different agencies, each one with the power to act, each one choosing silence. She called weekly, then daily, asking for updates, begging for meetings, demanding someone explain why her daughter's killer was still free. No new details to release. That's all they'd say. Over and over, like robots programmed to dismiss her. She wrote formal letters, professional, detailed, laying out the evidence, explaining the timeline, making the case they refused to make. Nothing. The message was clear. Your daughter's life doesn't matter enough for us to do our jobs. Go away. Stop bothering us. Accept that justice isn't coming. They didn't know who they were dealing with.
Something is going to be done, because when I tell you that I will not rest until God leads me to victory for my daughter.
When the system ignores you, you go around the system. Luckett started giving interviews. Local news in Atlanta, Montgomery stations, anyone who would listen. She told Tiana's story, showed the evidence, explained how police were burying the case. I see my daughter being murdered and it being intentional, she told reporters, and something has to be done. She wasn't asking anymore. She was demanding. The interviews spread. Justice for Tiana started appearing on social media. People across the country began sharing Tiana's story, questioning why Montgomery Police refused to call it a homicide. September 24th, 2024. Alabama State University held a memorial service on campus. Students packed the room. NAACP members spoke about Tiana's dedication. Sorority sisters shared memories. She served willingly and with a smile that could brighten any room, they remembered. A GoFundMe campaign was set up, started for funeral expenses. It became a war fund. Money to keep fighting. Money to keep pressure on authorities. Online petitions demanding justice collected thousands of signatures. Hold Montgomery Police accountable. Arrest Tiana's killer. Stop protecting murderers. The pressure was building, and Luckett wasn't slowing down. July 14th, 2025. 1 year since Tiana died. Danielle Luckett stood at her daughter's grave in Georgia, surrounded by family, friends, supporters who refused to forget. And she made an announcement that should have sent Montgomery officials scrambling. If authorities continue to ignore my correspondence, we will proceed with peaceful protests, outside their offices, outside their agencies, anywhere they think they can hide from accountability. This isn't just about my beautiful Tiana, Luckett said. This is about every family that's been silenced when they needed justice most. I refuse to let Tiana become just another name in a forgotten file. Her life mattered, her future mattered, and her death demands justice. Then she said the line that became her rallying cry. I'm going to be on them like white on rice. You are going to get justice for my daughter. Not maybe, not I hope, not if the system allows. You are going to get justice. That's not a request, that's a promise. And 15 months later, Danielle Luckett is still fighting, still calling, still refusing to let Montgomery Police pretend her daughter never existed. Here's what I need to know from you. If the police refuse to investigate your family member's murder for 15 months, at what point would you stop trusting the process? 1 month? 6 months? A year? Never? Comment how long you'd wait before you stopped believing the system was going to help you. Because Danielle Luckett waited. She followed the rules. She sent evidence through proper channels. She trusted the process, and the process failed her for 15 months. So tell me, how patient would you be? Danielle Luckett saw every red flag. Her daughter reported the gun assault, reported the knife threats, begged for help, and every authority figure ignored those warnings until Tiana was dead. The signs were there. The cries for help were loud, and everyone chose convenience over safety. If you've ever wondered how to recognize when someone's in real danger versus just having a difficult situation, I've put something in the description that might help. It's called Love Shouldn't Hurt, a survival guide to spotting red flags and escaping abuse before it turns deadly. This isn't about romantic relationships. This is about recognizing escalation. Understanding when someone's threats are about to become action, knowing the difference between conflict and danger. Tiana knew something was wrong. She reported it, but the people around her didn't understand how serious it was until she was gone. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be someone you love. And if you believe Danielle Luckett deserves to see her daughter's killer behind bars, subscribe to this channel right now. Because when there's an update in this case, and there will be, you're going to want to see it.
Breaking news. I ain't go to school for none of this. What you seeing me do is a product of the majesty of trial and the tortures of error. Now, I'm good as a motherfucker at it though, right? But it's gonna be a point where you see me do something that might not be my best work. But keep in mind that it's far better than it would have been had I done it in the beginning, but not nearly as good as it's gonna be as I continue. Also, in the humblest way, if you care to begin doing something similar to what I'm doing, you have everything that I've done to use as an example for you to be better than me.
October 2025. 15 months since Tiana Dye was killed in her own home. Here's where things stand right now. No arrests. 0. No charges filed. 0. No grand jury presentation. 0. The case file? Still sitting at the Montgomery Police Department. Never transmitted to prosecutors. The person who killed Tiana? Walking around Montgomery, Alabama like nothing happened. Going to work. Seeing friends. Living a life Tiana will never have. The Ring camera footage that shows them staging the crime scene? Sitting in an evidence locker. Reviewed by police. Sent to them by Tiana's mother and completely ignored. 15 months of absolutely nothing. Except one thing. Danielle Luckett is still fighting. Every single day. Tiana's story is about more than one murder. It's about recognizing danger before it's too late. She saw the red flags, the gun assault, the knife threats, the hostile behavior. She reported them. She asked for help. She did everything right. And every single authority figure failed her. The landlord who kept a violent person in the house. The police who refused to call it murder. The prosecutors who never received the case. The system that valued convenience over a young woman's life. But here's what you can learn from her death. When someone shows you they're violent, believe them the first time. When someone hits you with a gun, that's not a bad day. That's attempted murder. When someone walks around your home with a knife acting hostile, that's not drama. That's a threat. When you text your friends saying you don't feel safe, don't wait for permission to leave. Just go. Your lease doesn't matter. Your convenience doesn't matter. Your fear of seeming dramatic doesn't matter. Your life matters, and no one else is going to protect it for you. Here's the part people don't want to talk about. If Tiana had been white, would Montgomery Police have classified this as not a homicide? If Tiana had been wealthy, would the case have sat for 15 months without being sent to prosecutors? If Tiana had been from a politically connected family, would her killer still be walking free? You know the answer. So do I. Black women are killed at higher rates than almost any other demographic in America, and their cases get solved at lower rates than anyone else's. That's not opinion. That's data. Tiana was a Dean's List student, honor societies, future dermatologist, model citizen, and she still didn't matter enough to Montgomery Police. So if you're a black woman watching this, understand something. The system isn't designed to protect you. It's designed to process you when you become a statistic and then forget about you. You have to protect yourself. You have to trust your instincts. You have to leave dangerous situations even when it's inconvenient. Because no one is coming to save you. Tiana learned that. Don't make the same mistake. Tiana Dye was 21 years old. One semester away from her degree. One step away from medical school. One dream away from launching a skincare line that would have helped thousands of people feel beautiful. She was a daughter who made her mother proud. A friend who sensed pain without asking. A student who earned Dean's List every semester. A woman who turned childhood trauma into purpose. She deserved to graduate. She deserved to become a dermatologist. She deserved to change lives. She deserved to grow old. And she deserved justice. 15 months later, she still hasn't gotten it. But her mother isn't stopping. Her community isn't forgetting. And if you've watched this far, you're not letting this story disappear either. Montgomery Police thought they could bury Tiana's case. They were wrong. Because now you know her name. You know what happened. You know they have video evidence and refuse to act. And you have a choice. If you believe Tiana's killer should be arrested, comment "Arrest them now" so Montgomery Police see how many people are watching. If you believe Danielle Luckett deserves justice for her daughter, hit that like button and make this video impossible to ignore. If you believe Black women's lives matter as much as anyone else's, share this video right now. Send it to journalists. Send it to activists. Send it to anyone who can amplify Tiana's story. And if you believe cases like this should never be buried again, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Because when there's an update in Tiana's case, you're going to hear about it here first. But if you do nothing, if you watch this entire video and scroll past without engaging, that's not right. You're telling Montgomery Police that ignoring murders is acceptable. You're telling killers they can get away with it. You're telling families like Tiana's that their daughters don't matter. Tiana Dye, June 3, 2003 to July 14, 2024. Gone too soon, but not forgotten. Not by her mother, not by her community, and not by you. Rest in power, Tiana. Your story isn't over yet. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in another episode of Mind Twist True Crime Story. Stay safe out there.